Before Rome, before the Arabs, before the Ottomans, there was a land between continents, seas, deserts, and empires. A land that every great power wanted to control. This land was the Levant, the ancient crossroads of Syria, Canaan, Phoenicia, and Palestine. For thousands of years, it was not just a region. It was the prize of empires, the crossroads of the ancient world. The Levant stood between Egypt, Mesopotamia, Anatolia, and the Mediterranean Sea. Whoever controlled it could control trade, armies, ports, resources, and sacred cities. Caravans crossed its deserts, ships sailed from its coast, armies marched through its valleys. This is why the Levant was never left alone for long. It became a battlefield between the greatest civilizations of the ancient world, the early Canaanite and Syrian city-states. Before massive empires dominated the region, the Levant was home to ancient city-states. Cities like Ugarit, Ebla, Byblos, Sidon, Tyre, Hazor, and Damascus became centers of trade, writing, religion, and culture. These were not small, meaningless towns. They were wealthy, strategic, and connected to the wider ancient world. The people of the Levant traded with Egypt, Mesopotamia, and the Mediterranean. They built temples, palaces, and ports. But their wealth also made them vulnerable. Because once the great empires around them began to expand, the Levant became their first target. Egypt enters the Levant. One of the first great powers to dominate parts of the Levant was ancient Egypt. For the pharaohs, controlling the Levant meant protecting Egypt's northern frontier and securing trade routes. Egyptian armies marched into Canaan and Syria. Fortified cities became Egyptian vassals. Local rulers paid tribute to the pharaoh. The Levant became a buffer zone between Egypt and its northern enemies. But Egypt was not alone. Far to the north, another powerful empire was rising, and soon the Levant would become trapped between two giants, the Hittites and the battle for Syria. From Anatolia came the Hittites. They were powerful, organized, and militarized. As they expanded south, they challenged Egyptian control over Syria and the northern Levant. This rivalry led to one of the most famous confrontations of the ancient world, the Battle of Kadesh. Egypt and the Hittites fought for dominance over Syria. Neither empire could ignore the Levant because whoever controlled Syria controlled the gateway between worlds. Eventually, the balance of power shifted. The Hittite world declined, Egypt weakened, and into this power vacuum came one of the most feared empires in ancient history, the Assyrians, an empire of fear. The Assyrians did not simply conquer, they terrified. From northern Mesopotamia, the Assyrian Empire expanded with a military machine unlike anything the region had seen before. They took cities, destroyed rebellions, deported populations, demanded tribute. For the Assyrians, the Levant was not only a road to Egypt, it was a source of wealth, soldiers, and strategic control. For many people in the region, Assyrian rule was remembered not only as conquest, but as fear organized into government. Babylon rises after Assyria. But no empire lasts forever. The Assyrian Empire collapsed under the weight of rebellion, war, and overextension. After Assyria fell, Babylon rose. The Neo-Babylonian Empire inherited much of the struggle for the Levant. Under Babylonian power, the region once again became a contested imperial frontier. Cities were conquered, kingdoms were crushed, populations were moved, and the political map of the Levant was transformed again. Babylon did not rule forever either. From the east, a new power appeared, an empire larger, more organized, and more ambitious than anything before it. The Persian Empire. The Persians created one of the largest empires the world had ever seen. Under the Achaemenid Empire, the Levant became part of a massive imperial system stretching from Egypt to Central Asia. Unlike the Assyrians, the Persians often ruled through administration, local elites, and imperial provinces. Roads, taxes, and governors connected distant regions to the Persian king. The Levant remained important because it connected Asia, Africa, and the Mediterranean. But even Persia would eventually face a challenger. A young king from Macedonia would cross into Asia and change the ancient world forever. Alexander, the Greeks, and Rome. Alexander the Great defeated the Persian Empire and brought Greek power into the Levant. After his death, his generals fought over the region. The Levant became divided between Hellenistic kingdoms, especially the Seleucids and the Ptolemies. Greek culture, language, and cities spread across the region. But once again, another empire was rising: Rome. The Romans eventually took control of the Levant and made it part of their eastern world. Later, when the Roman Empire divided, the region became central to the Byzantine Empire. And after centuries of imperial rule, a new force would emerge from Arabia and transform the Levant again. The Levant was never just a piece of land. It was a bridge between continents, a battlefield between empires, a corridor of trade, religion, language, and power. Egyptians, Hittites, Assyrians, Babylonians, Persians, Greeks, Romans, and Byzantines all ruled or fought for it. Each empire came to dominate the Levant, and each empire was eventually replaced by another. This is why the history of the Levant is not the story of one civilization. It is the story of empires rising, colliding, and disappearing. But the land remained, and its echoes still shape history today.